First and foremost, I did want to talk about this briefly. Solomon Crowe from NXT was released today, or at least speculation has shown that he asked for his release and he was granted it, unsurprisingly. The guy hasn't been on TV at all. And I feel really bad. I mean, it really does suck. I mean, it's not like he was a big-time player or anything like that. The guy was barely on TV. He's been on NXT TV since, I want to say, February. I know he debuted right after the February special with the whole hacker gimmick. And that's what I liked most about Solomon Crowe. Maybe dating back to late 2013, I want to say. However long it was. The gimmick had been in the works, or he had been in the works to come up on NXT for a very long time. Dating back to early 2014. I remember reading reports that he was supposed to come on NXT, and they actually filmed a debut match for the guy, but they nixed it when they taped all new, on a whole new set of tapings instead, and Adam Rose debuted, but the Solomon Crowe didn't. So this whole thing happened, and he never made TV until just earlier this year. But even upon his debut, they did nothing with the guy. I think he won maybe 1 or 2 matches against CJ Parker and maybe Bull Dempsey. Other than that, I think he's lost every other match that he's had. And it's such a shame, too. I'm not a huge indie mark. Like, I don't know everyone on the independent scene, but I had seen enough of him on the independent scene as Sami Callihan and enough of his NXT stuff before he came to TV to know that this guy was actually really good. I'm not saying he could have been NXT champion or would have, flourished in the main roster. The guy was pretty small, but in the ring, he seemed pretty good. I thought the hacker gimmick above all else was so cool. It was something that we had never seen before. And I guess you can only really go so far with it. I understand that, but they never really gave it a chance to flourish or succeed or to shine at all. Like I said, he came on NXT TV. He maybe beat CJ Parker once or twice and went on to do nothing. I can't even give you a notable match to watch from this guy on NXT TV because he didn't feud with anybody. I think he had maybe 1 match in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic alongside Neville, and I thought for a second they were planting the seeds for a future heel turn from him. They kind of wasted Neville's return in NXT for nothing, for a random-ass round 1 match in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. It was cool to see him, but I thought they were going to be building to a feud between him and Solomon Crowe and a heel turn for him, because they were kind of playing up the story how he never won a match, and it led to nothing. He might have been on TV once or twice after that, and that was it. The guy was never on NXT again. I can't even tell you the last time he was on NXT TV. And then, as of this morning, someone pointed out that his profile had been taken off WWE.com, and then it was subsequently revealed from maybe PW Insider that, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's PW Insider. Maybe more details will be released by Wednesday, but this is all kind of breaking news as of today, that he asked for his release, and he was granted it. I mean, I can't blame the guy at all. If he had been there for 2 or 3 years, and they didn't bring you up to TV for a while, I think at one point Triple H wasn't high on the gimmick. Again, don't quote me on that. I forgot where I read it, but I'm pretty sure that might have been the reason why he wasn't brought up when he was to begin with many years ago, because I think Triple H was not a fan of the hacker gimmick. And when he did debut, he did have the hacker gimmick to an extent, but they didn't really go all the way with it. They kind of teased that, like these malfunctions were going on in NXT, and he wanted to be NXT champion, stuff like that. But other than that, he really wasn't a hacker-like guy. I think he was a babyface, but I don't know. It was weird because his matches weren't really long. He never got any promo time at all, so you really had no reason to care about the guy. And it's been 6 or 7 months. This guy's been doing nothing on NXT. Can't say I blame him. Caval was the same. I think he got released. Caval did. I think he later revealed, but there's a lot of guys in developmental. I think CJ Parker was one of them, that he knew that he wasn't going to get above a certain level, and he just left. And I feel like CJ Parker, I was never a huge fan of his. I felt like, he had to leave. He was like the designated jobber for NXT. And after he left, Solomon Crowe kind of took over that position. But I feel like the biggest difference between a CJ Parker and a Solomon Crowe was that a Solomon Crowe could go farther in WWE. His gimmick interested me. The whole environmentalist thing for CJ Parker was fine. I didn't hate it. I mean, as a heel I did, but I never saw him getting really anywhere in NXT. He was, a Heath Slater of the show. Solomon Crowe, I saw a lot more potential in him as an in-ring talent, as a character, and they just did nothing. Again, maybe it's because Triple H wasn't high on the guy, and it's weird to say that, NXT wasted this guy, because how often does that happen? I know the show is only an hour long, but you look at the roster up and down, a lot of these guys, even if they aren't being used to their fullest extent, at least they have a character, like a Bull Dempsey with the bull fit thing. Even Ty Dillinger, the guy is a glorified loser, yet he has the 10 count and he's over as all hell in front of Full Sail University. Solomon Crowe did not have a character. He had a couple bad theme songs and a unique haircut, and that was it. On the surface, to a casual fan, why would anyone care about that? But if you saw his work on the indie scene, what he did before he debuted on NXT TV, his promos, the guy was actually really good, and he never gave him a chance to run with the ball. Never gave him the ball to run with as the character on the show. And again, it's weird to say because 90% of the roster is used properly, whether they are winning or losing, or they're a champion or a jobber or whatever. Everyone has a character that I care about. Solomon Crowe just was never on TV enough for anyone for any casual viewer of the show of NXT to really care about him. So I can't say I'm shocked by the release, but it does disappoint me that WWE never really allowed him to shine. I mean, he could always be back, but I think the general consensus is that he's probably going to go back to doing indies and honing his craft there. And it's better to go back and do indies and probably make the same amount of money that he was making in NXT. I mean, I know you're getting a paycheck from WWE, but from what I understand, the money that the people in NXT make is not extraordinary compared to the people on the main roster, if that makes sense. So he's probably going to make the same money as he probably would have been in NXT anyway, and have more fun. You know, if he's not even on TV and he's not doing anything, you would see him on the WWE list from time to time. You could tell he's a fan, and that's what I liked about Solomon Crowe. Not just because he's a fan, but he knows the business inside and out. He has all the tools. He can talk, he can wrestle, but, you know, lack of character, motivation, and nobody cared. So again, I'm not shocked that he's gone from NXT. It does disappoint me, though. And as cliche as it sounds, I wish him all the best in his future endeavors, and hopefully he can find more success on the indie scene than he could have, or than he was in NXT before he, left the company.